welcome once again all the participants who are here with me in this journey to understand stress. Okay, now let me start with a question, right? Are you stressed? This is making me feel so happy with these answers as maybe and yes. Because when I ask the same question, when I'm in the counseling setup, people say that I don't think so. What is stress? No. And the immediate answer, the negation to, them being stressed, puts me into a thought that, are you seriously, stressed, not stressed? Do you understand stress? Are you faking it up? Or you are really stressed and you don't know whether you are stressed? Let's look at my presentation, and I would say that all those who have said that yes and maybe, I would want to congratulate all of you that you are all alive. Right? Okay. Because for me as a counselor, I feel stress is part and parcel of our life. Okay. There are certain stresses that we can manage. Okay. For example, I'm cooking breakfast. My son wakes up and comes in and he says, "Hey, Mama, I don't want this." And I'm like, "Oh God, it's already, I'm pacing out on time and I have to, do something that he will eat in his lunchbox, right?" So that is a stressful moment, right? Now, if I have time, if I'm quick at cooking, I can, make something and give it to him. What if I'm not? What if I'm a first timer? Okay. What if I don't enjoy cooking? Then what happens? Right? I will be stressed. And when I'm stressed, okay, I would do more damage than corrections. I would lose my mind. I would not be in control of my mind and body. I'll get into a state of confusion and I will really don't know what to do. Okay. And how do we respond? Like all moms, anger. Right? Can't you tell me? And he says that, "Mama, you should have asked me. I have created a timetable." And you get into a spat. What are you doing? You're losing time. Okay. And the stress is increasing. So if you look at our next slide, which says that the only person who is not stressed is a dead person. And this is something which is said by the father of research, okay, Hans Sally, who says that the only person without stress is a dead person. And that was my reason why I congratulated all of you that we are all alive and we should celebrate this life. Okay. Now, how many of you agree with me? Look at our the third slide when we get into, and I'm here giving you a lot of examples. Okay. Now, if you look at this, right, some people ask me, "Veena, why don't you start your, presentation by defining the stress?" And I say that I don't like doing that. Okay. Right. And I will help you define stress. Okay. Now, look at this data. WHO has dubbed stress as a health epidemic of 21st century. Okay, right? And this data from Cigna Corporation, which is a global organization to do a lot of, studies around different mental health challenges. Okay, on the global level, Cigna Corporation has done this. Okay, and surprisingly, this study came out in 2019. So by 2019, it said that 75% people experience stress that affects their physical health. Okay, right? And then it said 80% are those who feel stressed at work. Okay, now look at it. This was 2019 data. And what happened in 2020? We were stuck with COVID, lockdown, chaos, work from home. Suddenly our, things fell apart. We didn't know how to manage things. Everybody is locked down at home. We have to manage everyone's expectation, press office expectation. People are falling sick. Media is talking about COVID. Okay. So we were into a complete mess. Now just look at this data and, think about it, that if 75% people were stressed in 2019, what would be the level of stress by 2022? Okay, what would have happened in 2021? Right, we saw that in second wave, okay, there were more deaths, right? The facilities crunches happen, right? We were getting into a system of work from home, but schools also started. Board examinations were to be conducted online. So a lot of things got added up onto our plate. So I feel being very generous, even if I increase the 75% by 10%, just imagine 85% people being stressed and affecting their physical health. And what do we do about it? We just run, we just walk, we just play, we just watch something to calm our mind. Okay, be it music, be it web series, be it anything, right? So we are taking care of our physical body. What is happening to our mental well-being? How many of you sitting here or attending this program do meditation? If you don't do meditation, it's fine, right? But then we know that meditation is something very basic, very generic to calm our mind. What I do is, when I sit idle, okay, I will have racing thoughts. I'll be thinking about my needs. I will be thinking about my, upcoming training at Air Force. I'll be thinking about, what to cook. I'll be thinking about the next client call. A lot of things keeps racing, okay? And I'm not at peace when I'm meditating. Okay, so what I do is I do something called as dance meditation. Though I'm not great in dance, I would say I'm not even good at dance. Okay, but then I just put the music and flow with the music however I feel like. Okay, right? So I kind of do that meditation wherein I am in my own flow. You think of something like these where you could come out with, if you cannot meditate, okay, you can add up with something, right? And then you create something for you where you are also taking care of your, the head region, right? The mental well-being. Okay, now in India, 82% people are found stressed as per the study conducted by this. Now this is very specific data of India. 82 people, cumulative, corporate, not corporate, including everything. Okay, but then we are always into a denial that no, I'm not stressed. Okay, somebody was telling me that in spite of telling how are you, you should ask somebody how is your mental well-being. Okay, and then you would be like, oh, shall I say good, shall I say irritated, shall I say frustrated, or shall I say I'm doing fine, right? Okay, so what I'm trying to say here is, when these studies give us this data, somewhere we are doing something wrong. Okay, somewhere we are being ignorant about something, right? Somewhere we are losing out on something, which we feel it is not important, right? So what is that something? Identify it. Is it self-care? Okay, is it emotional well-being? Is it your response versus reaction? What exactly is it that we are missing on? So it's very important that we identify what is that I am missing. Okay, and what is that one thing when I address, I would be able to build a coping mechanism for myself. What is that one thing you would want to fix so that you are less stressed, or focus on so that you are less stressed? Something you could identify. If I do this one thing, I will be able to take care of myself. Right? Okay, let's move on to understand how many of you have experienced this and what is the data. So I'm going to now break the data of the Cigna Corporation, okay, and tell you how stress has been affecting us. If you look at these symptoms, okay, now look at it. Appetite change, 21% people reported that when they are stressed, they have change in appetite. Okay, many of you would have heard about stress eating. leading to bulimia. Okay, right? Whereas I have also identified people who do not eat when they are stressed. Okay, right? So when people say that, oh, I stress eat, and somebody says I don't, that does not mean that you don't have stress. It's different bodily mechanism to manage stress or cope with stress. Okay. 23% people said that they have muscle tension. And this muscle tension have been found around this neck region, the shoulder region. Surprisingly, I have identified people with lower back pain, also indicating of the stress they are carrying. Okay. Largely, as a psychologist, I believe that lower back pain is related to issues with respect to your relationship. Okay. But then I discovered that it's also leading to the stress, maybe relationship stress. Okay. 26% people have indigestion, acid reflexes, or upset stomach. Now, when we have this, what do? We run to a medical doctor. And I have no problem you going to the medical doctor, but I'm just trying to put a perspective here. Okay, that if I have a stomach upset, if I have a indigestion, we generally take home remedies. We go to the doctor, we gobble the medicines, right? But it doesn't occur to us that it could be because of stress, right? Okay, anxiety leads to stress, and if you have some kind of irritation in your stomach, okay, some butterfly moment in your stomach, it is associated with you being anxious and you're creating stress in your body. Okay. 34% of people reported that when they were stressed, they felt sad or depressed. Right? 36% people said headaches. Okay, and there are different kind of headache. For some, it would be just right side, some it would be left, some would be the whole head headache. Okay, for some it would be just a neck pain. Okay, but then what do? Oh, I'm having migraine. We pop up a medicine. Okay, oh, I did not had my morning breakfast, so that is the reason I'm having headache. We stop to connect. We stop to connect the missing link of stress here. What is that stressing me? What is that can I fix so that this headache reduces? Okay, when somebody comes to me and says that I'm having headache, I ask them, who is sitting here? Okay, can you ask that person to get down? Right? Okay, then 36% people say that they have anxiety, nervousness, or worry. 38% people lack motivation because of stress. 41% people feel fatigue, low in energy. And then 45% people are irritated and angry. Okay, now these are other problems which also come as, we say, one to one, ek pe ek free, right? So similarly, you are having other problems. People get into sexual problems. No urge to get into sexual, blissfulness, right? Their weight changes, right? They get diarrhea or constipation. And because of stress, they experience forgetfulness and lack of attention. The reason why they are marked as other problem is only because percentage of people reporting these were very minimum. Okay, right? And that is where this is written it as other problem. So what is this slide gives you to ponder on stress? Though it is just a small word, it has a huge effect. I generally call stress and anxiety as a mother of psychosis. So if you take care of your mom well, right, you take care of your mental well-being well. Right? Now let's define stress. So let me define stress using a very simple formula. Okay? Stress happens when the pressure is more, or pressure is greater than the resources available. When pressure is increased and the resources that we have to manage that situation are less. Okay, then that is the moment when we feel stressed. And I can give you multiple examples here. Okay, one example coming from home. Okay, it's dinner time. You are all just, sitting to have dinner, and you have a surprise guest. Now you know that you cannot just, entertain the guest. You have to also invite the guest for dinner. Okay, and then the tension is what to cook. More than what to cook, what is available, right? And then how many hands you have, which makes you resourceful in terms of managing that pressure. Okay, so whenever there is an unplanned scenario, our resources, when we are not aware of our resources or conscious of our resources, mindful of our resources, or we have very limited resources, the pressure on us increases, and that is the moment when we feel stressed. Okay, the other example coming in from corporate, right? The corporate example could be you have a project delivery, and your key person meets with an accident. There would be a stress, what to do, how to manage it. Personal losses puts you into stress because grief is something where you feel helpless. And when you feel helpless, you feel you're not there. Something within you is lost. Okay? And then you yourself become resourceless. Now just think, when you become resourceless, the pressure definitely increases. Helplessness makes you feel stressful. When you feel helpless, the stress increases. Tension in a situation, it could be anything. Like, I'll give you an example very much associated with today's scenario. Okay, we have a presentation, my laptop is hanging. I'm stressed. Okay, and then immediately, I make arrangement that, okay, how do we, run this whole thing? Okay, so it is not that many people ask me question when I go to specifically, young children. They ask me question that, ma'am, you are a counselor. Do you also get stressed? And I say, yes. Even though I'm a counselor, I'm a human being first. I have those human emotions, right? Being a counselor gives me a perspective, but it takes time for me also to look at things from that perspective. Right? If I'm able to manage that transition, I would be able to manage my stress. And if I'm not, then I will end up also getting stressed. Okay, so the simple formula of stress is, stress happens when pressure is more than the resources available for you. Okay, so this was basically a very introductory webinar to introduce you to stress through certain data, okay, through certain symptoms, right, and the authenticity of this data. It's about characteristic of stress, okay, and it says that it's subjective and self-created. Stress is very personal. It is not at all generic. Okay, an example could be when the results come out, some people are very cool. Some people get stressed. Okay, when something happens in your house, you would say that some people are, very in control, whereas some people are getting hyper. Okay, so remember, stress is subjective and it is self-created. Okay, the second one, it's an everyday event. You can be stressed if the maid is not turning out, if your child is sick, if you are having certain challenges completing some task, you are doing an important task, there's power play out. Okay, right? Somebody calling you and asking you for an unplanned leave, right? So anything can cause stress. Then it can have an additive or cumulative effect, meaning to say that there are some people, okay, who are triggers in your life, so them being available starts adding stress to you. Okay, that's one way of looking at it. The other way of looking at it could be, I started with a stressful day at home, I went to office, I counted a problem, I got stressed. So, my stress is adding up. Okay, or it could be cumulative, right? It can be influenced by culture. Okay, certain socio-cultural norms, okay, the rituals in your houses, the restrictions, okay, the values can also make you feel stressed. Has spillover effect. So stress, say for example, you had a bad day at work, you're very unhappy, you enter the house and somebody taunts you, comments at you, or your child wants you to play. Okay, what happens? You become very aggressive and your response is reactive. Okay, so what's happening? You're not able to manage your stress, and hence it is getting spilled over to people around you. And then stress can be transferred. You can pass on your stress to the another person. Okay, I have seen this many times. I have got housewives coming to me and saying that, ma'am, whenever my husband comes back, okay, I get stressed. And I ask him why. Okay, there could be many things. A perfectionist husband coming in, looking at, the house. If it is not organized, will question, right? An aggressive husband coming in can create a stress. Okay, an unhappy husband coming in can have a similar effect. And I'm not targeting husbands. We as wives equally stress our husbands. Okay, right? So there could be similar examples from the other side also. Question is, how do I identify if the symptom is due to stress or some other reason? It's a very good question. I would suggest you to do a very simple introspection about your life that day. Okay, what happened? What were the major and minor events? How it affected you emotionally, right? And if your answers are, negative emotions, if your triggers are negative, then it is largely the stress. If it is not, you had a very nice day, very happy day, and then yet you had a bad stomach, there could be a chance of food poison. Okay, right? So very important is a quick introspection of your daily life. Get stressed, do I need to react to it? I would say no, respond to your stress. Okay, see, there is a very thin line difference between reaction and response. When we respond to a situation, okay, we think about abilities, our abilities, and then we respond. Okay, what is there in my scope to manage this? Okay, and that is where we respond. Reaction is a very negative approach, and it largely comes with anger, frustration, irritation, negative emotions. So in spite of reacting, respond to your stress. Say that, okay, I'm stressed. What do I do to overcome this? The immediate measures that can be taken to act upon stress. So the immediate measures could be one, introspection. Okay, what is stressing me? What permissions I have given to this person that he can stress me? And what I can do to avoid the stress? 3 questions. To address it immediately if I really realize I am stressed? Yes. Okay, you do not have to wait. It doesn't subsides on your own. So, and this is where There's a difference between the mental health and the physical health. Okay, the physical health, if you have fever, I've heard many people saying that if you have fever, you know, it goes off in 5 days. You don't need antibiotic unless and until it, goes beyond 100 2 plus. Okay, right? So the physical body is reacting to the fever and it is taking care of it. In the mental health, the brain starts to suppress, the mind starts to suppress, and you would not know whether the stress is accumulating or not. Okay, it is like, you become a soda bottle, right? When it opens, it oozes out. Stress, there are different reasons that you are stressed. You have different abilities, so you are not able to handle the stress. So each case becomes different. So there is no one thumb rule to approach stress. So a way to maintain the well-being, yes, there are a lot of ways. You start with self-care, you start with self-love, you start with introspection, and then that follows up with many things. Start talking to someone professional, discuss your things. Okay, and you would know how to you start to get into the journey of having a better mental well-being, or bettering it day by day. Don't give permission for anything to lower your energy. Okay, learn from your mobile phones. Our mobile phones have always a backup, what you call, charge, which can use it in emergency, right? I think it's called as backup battery or something, it is there, right? Okay, so can I have something of that kind within me so that I bounce back? Okay, so what I do is, whenever I feel low, whenever I feel drained, I just close my eyes and sit, and then make a note of how good my day has been. Okay, my focus shifts from bad to positives. Okay, and when you count these number of good over bad, you will always see that the number of good increases, right? So you feel that, okay, it's manageable. To understand pattern, who are the triggers, how they are affecting you, what are the words, what are the expressions, what are the unsaid things that affects you. Okay, and once you are identifying the pattern, then we can easily break these patterns.